Hey everyone, welcome back to the Drifter Journey channel. I'm Jess, and today I'm going to go over a grow tent heater comparison for you. The reason why I'm doing this is because when I went to go buy a grow tent heater for our grow tent, which I am growing seedlings in our garage, I had a really hard time finding products that worked for our situation, and then once I bought them and used them, there's a very clear difference in quality. So we're going to go over the Spider Farmer 540 watt grow tent heater, and then the AC Infinity Thermoforge grow tent heater. If you don't have time to watch the whole thing, I'll just cut right to the chase. The Thermoforge is the way to go. It is twice the price, but if you have time to stay and watch, I will explain why for multiple reasons. I'm going to keep this one and probably send this one back. So first, let's talk about some of the specifics I was hoping to achieve. One, I want a grow tent heater that sits outside of the grow tent. I have a 24-inch by 48-inch grow tent here in my garage. I do not want a heater inside of there because I'm worried about fire and temperature control and humidity. And to me, water and electronics do not go well. So that was my first requirement. Second requirement was that I wanted something that was going to be able to automatically maintain the temperature in the grow tent. So I wanted something with a thermostat that could regulate the temperature within a couple of degrees of accuracy. And then two, I just wanted something that was low maintenance, that I could set and forget and not have to worry about checking and making sure that it was working properly. So aside from that, I was flexible with other features. So let's start with the Spider Farmer heater. One pro about this heater is that it is cost effective. It is half of the price of the Thermoforge. A couple of nice things about it. I like the size. I like the shape. It's very compact. It comes with the tubing that can expand. It actually gets quite long, and you just screw it into this port here, and then you can easily tuck this away when you're not using it. Now, it can sit on its side like this with this little prop guy. It's fine. I was using it that way in order to be able to always see the display, but I think it's more stable if it's set on its side like this, which it can also do. It is built to do it both ways. So regardless, I had it set up like this, and I had the tube going into the grow tent here as this one is set up. Now this does have a thermostat, and on the back of the unit we have the power cable and where the thermostat goes in. So this is just a little quick connect that you snap in to place, and then on the other end of this cord is the sensor. So it's got a temperature, humidity, and light sensor so that the Spider Farmer grow tent heater can tell what the temperature is, what the humidity is, and whether or not it's daytime or nighttime, meaning whether your grow lights are on or off if you're using grow lights. So that was a quick and easy setup. To get that plugged in, I had the entire thing set up, and I had the tube running in and the thermostat running into that porthole within 5 minutes. So let's get it plugged in and I'll show you guys the interface. All right, first things first, the directions are not great. The directions that came with my unit are not the same directions that were on the Amazon page. And the Amazon page was actually better. So you just hold power to turn it on. And it has a couple of different modes. First of all, there is a heat mode by this flame and a fan mode. So you can see it changes the little icon there from little blowing wind to flame. You can see it says it's daytime with lights on, and that's because this light sensor is out here outside with us. It's supposed to have several different modes, so you can set a timer, you can set a all day, like all time temperature, you can set a daytime temperature, a nighttime temperature. You can see there's a little moon there. And then it goes back to showing the interface of what the temperature is that it's sensing at that time. Now, in order to change, the last thing is the fan speed. So we go through and you can change, you know, these settings. It's pretty user-friendly here. And then in order to change the fan speed, you have to hold the flame down. Well, that's the plus or minus degrees. So I have it set to plus or minus. And then I think to change the fan mode, you hold this down. 0 degrees. Oh, that's that. So we're going to hold, yeah. So you just go to the flame and then hit up and down. So I think setting the temperature is pretty user-friendly, right? You just go into the mode that you want. But then to actually set anything, it doesn't seem to be as user-friendly. My other complaint is that I didn't want it on fan mode 6 all the time because it seemed like it was putting out a lot of heat. There'd be times when I would come down here and check the temperature in the grow tent and it would be like 78 degrees in there because it was on heat level 6. And so it wasn't necessarily registering that it was putting out too much heat and then bringing the amount of heat down. And then I would turn the heat level down to see if it could compensate. And then there would be times I'd come down here and it's like 58 degrees in there. So I reached out to the company, tried to get some information. Ultimately, they did recommend to keep it on heat level 6 and then trust that it would regulate the temperature. It did eventually end up kind of finding a good balance, but I just don't trust it now. And I found that anytime I knew my grow lights were turning on, I would come down here and check the temperature, and anytime I knew they were going to be turning off, I would have to come down and check again just to make sure what it was doing. So it is coming out. You can hear it running. It's pretty quiet. The display does go dark, so it's trying to save power there. If you want to see the temperature, you just touch any button and it wakes up. And then in order to turn it off, we just hold the power button down and it powers down. So it is actually quite loud, so you can just hear that powering down. The Thermoforge is running right now. That's how quiet that one is. So overall, pros for the Spider Farmer. Easy to set up, not very expensive, and generally does a good job. But the cons are you might have to micromanage it quite a bit, and if you have high consequences to not having a regulated temperature in your grow tent, like your plants are really sensitive, that might be a problem. So let's talk about the Thermoforge, the AC Infinity Thermoforge for a second. Again, setup was very easy. It comes with a very short section of hose, and then it comes with a 4-foot section that attaches to the end if you need an extension. The setup was, again, very easy. You can see the interface is pretty user-friendly. We currently have it set to 72 degrees, and I have it set to stay within that plus or minus 1 degree. We have it on heat mode. It is in auto mode, and it's very easy to switch between the modes. So this is our settings. If we want to set any of the units, if you want to go between modes. So I have it on auto. If you want to set it to a VPD instead, you can set it on a timer. You can have it cycle on or cycle off, or you can just have it off or have it just on. The only complication with this is that auto is not as simple to set up as you might think. Essentially, what you have to do is set boundaries within the off and on cycles, and then the auto will run based on those settings. So, for example, the off mode is you would set it, okay, I want it to turn off when it reaches this number in the tent, and I want it to run at this fan speed. So obviously when it's off, and I'll just cycle back over to that really quick. See, it says off. I have it set to 0. So when the thermostat registers 72 degrees, we want the fan to go to 0. And then for on cycle, when the fan registers below 71 degrees, obviously, we have the fan set to 6. So you can hear it just turned on, and this is the actual fan speed right here. And that's because it's on. So if we go to auto, those are our upper and lower limits. And you can change this set to temperature in the auto. Just push these up and down buttons. And it'll go to fan speed 6 when it turns on, and it'll go to fan speed 0 when it turns off. So that initially was very confusing for me just because the manual doesn't really explain it. I probably had to read it like 5 or 6 times, but we've got it running, and I love that this is super reliable. I come down here and the tent is always exactly the temperature it's supposed to be. It's not too hot, too cold, and it's very quiet. It feels like it's very energy efficient. I don't know that for sure because I haven't measured any of the output, but whatever. So pros, very accurate, very low maintenance. Cons, kind of expensive, but you get what you get, right? So I will link all of these products in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and we appreciate you joining us on this little homesteading experiment.